Roxo Media House.
Welcome back, Brenton, to FORTitude. I am JW. I think you knew that. You're Brenton Payne. This is
Rocco's
FORTitude.
just getting into the music, man. Why
Beautiful.
are you cutting him off like that?
I'm not cutting anything off. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We are sponsored by Captex Bank, the best bank in town, our opinion. But they make all this happen for us, Brenton. So we're kind of obligated to say that, but it's actually true because we know Mike Thomas. He's a good dude.
Yep.
Welcome to the stage of the show, Felipe Armenta, chef and restaurateur in our precious Fort Worth, a very beloved chef and restaurateur
He
here.
gets a big crowd.
Indeed, he does.
Did you notice the crowd difference there?
I like
for you?
that.
Yeah.
I like
you
that.
got a little big. You got more of an arena crowd.
I like that.
This guy's got a really cool vibe too. He kind of lays low just enough to, not to make you want to know what's going on more.
Does Louis Vuitton shoes make a cool vibe? Like Louis Vuitton sneakers, man. Like that's fit. And sneakers even. I use that
it real
terminology.
cool vibe, real cool, smooth. Philippe,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us, man.
thank
We're
you.
honored for you to be here. All right, Philippe, there's a lot going on in your life. Let's start back at the beginning. Your background and your family. You have a really cool backstory. You told me a little bit. It's led to some of your restaurants, but start back when the family was getting going.
Well, we're originally from Houston, family of 5. I have a younger brother and a younger sister. I'm the oldest of the 3. And my whole life, my parents have always had restaurants. So we literally, I tell people I didn't have a backyard. I literally had a kitchen and a dining room. And
What kind of restaurants?
These were Mexican restaurants in Houston, Bel Air area.
Yep.
And
like upscale Mexican?
No, middle of the road.
Okay.
Middle of the road. And my family's always had restaurants. I think my uncle in Houston had the very first Mexican restaurant in downtown Houston in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, no kidding.
What's the name of it?
My last name, Armentas.
That's what I was going to guess. I seriously was. Was it like Benito's here? What would you compare it to? That's what is coming in my mind. I don't know.
Benito's,
Okay.
just massive. My dad actually worked at that restaurant, and that's how he kind of got into the business.
Yeah.
And he said, it was like 300 people at lunch, and there was no computers. It was just people screaming, "Hey, I need 25 enchiladas." And blah, 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 blah. And I was like, man, that sounds chaotic.
Yeah.
So you were born into the industry, right? And
That's right.
did you always know, though, as early on that you wanted to do the same thing at some level?
Well, kind of. I remember when I turned like 14, 13, I remember like, okay, hey, I kind of want to get a little job, whether it's cutting yards or whatever. And my dad was like, hey, just work in the restaurant when you get out of school after basketball practice or football practice and do that.
So it's dinner crowd.
For free, right?
For free.
Yes.
For free. And then, I kind of started working back there and learning. And when we opened Armenta's in San Angelo, because we moved from Houston to San Angelo, me and my mom were side by side working together because my dad had his regular job working as a chef, and he needed to keep that income so that we can continue to build the business. And that's kind of how it started. It was just me and my mom side by side, and I kind of got into it. And then finally, my dad quit his job. I started working next to my dad, and I would ask him like, "Man, you're so fast. You're so good. How long is it going to take me to get like as good as you?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, probably 6 years." I was like, "What?" I was thinking like next month.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it kind of like messed me up. So every day I'd go in there and I'd just try and I'd try. And finally, I'm about to graduate high school, and I knew that I wanted to go to college to go learn business.
Yeah.
And, something was calling me deep down inside saying, hey, that's great and all, but, my passion was the restaurants and the food. And
probably the speed, right? There's something about
the energy.
Yeah. You're in there in the nighttime. You ever worked at a restaurant, JW?
I've not, no.
It's like a stress that gets in you. Like it's a vibe.
Do you know
I
this?
agree.
Do you know this that he's talking about?
It's adrenaline.
And the cooking is more than the bartending or the waiting tables or anything. The cooking is like, it's this. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
So you forewent to college.
I went to Angelo State in San Angelo.
Yeah.
And it was my freshman year. And that end of the summer, that year, I had fun. I was partying. I was, doing the deal. And, I was talking to my dad. I'm like, I kind of want to try culinary school because, I would cook at the restaurant and people would literally tip me and be like, hey, I want to send this to the guy, whoever cooked it back there. And I was like, what's this for?
Yeah. Would you do like different things, like a little bit different from your dad?
I would have people be like, hey, just make me something. And I was like, all right. So I'd make it and, I would like to see the reaction and I would see them eat it. And I don't even know if they knew who I was.
Yeah.
They just thought I was just a guy in the back, just doing my thing.
When I was a little shorter cook in college, I would do things like, instead of American cheese, I'd put like cheddar on a chicken breast.
You were a crazy, crazy man.
I know.
That's great.
Yeah. I'm just kidding you. I'm just kidding.
So that's kind of how that transpired.
Sure.
What kind of little things would it be though, for real? Like, what would you do? Like, just kind of take it just to a little next level.
I would there was this guy that would come in. He would come in like at 4:30. Nobody was in there. And I would make like the seafood stew for him. And I would just, I'd put shrimp and fish and crab meat. And I would just make this up randomly. And he was like, wow.
Season it like a special seasoning of your own?
I would just, I would see what was in the kitchen and kind of just say, hey, I'm going to throw this together. And I would make like this stew. And it was just like, I would like to see these people's face afterwards.
Yeah.
Be like, wow, that was amazing. And that's when I had a feeling I was like, I think I'm good at this.
Yeah.
Because my mom was a phenomenal cook.
She was.
Just incredible. And I remember as a kid asking these questions like, hey, Mom, what do I look for in a perfect avocado? What do I look for in a tomato? How and then I would sit there and, just listen to her and watch her do it. And then that's how I kind of picked up on it.
Yeah. So culinary school
happened. Well, no, let me backtrack a little bit. So I was going to culinary school that year. I got accepted to Johnson and Wales in the fall. My dad was like, all right, you're going to head out. So that summer I was like, I'm just going to have a good time because I'm leaving the state of Texas, never really left.
Where's that culinary school?
In South Carolina, Johnson and Wales. And I was accepted. A friend of mine said, hey, you have all this talent. You should put your resume out there and just see what happens. I was like, no, I want to go to culinary school. She was like, but just try it. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
So
they're going to make you do that at school anyway. Well, halfway through.
She said that. And I was like kind of intrigued by it. So she helped me with my resume. We put it on monster.com back in the day, if you guys remember that.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
That's why we're here, Felipe.
we got the jobs like that.
That's awesome. So I did that. And it comes back where all these hits were like, want to interview me. And they were going to fly me to Phoenix. They're going to fly me to Boston. And for these interviews, I'm like, man, I've never even left Texas. And people want to hire me. So I met this company that I was really intrigued by. And there was two things why I was intrigued. One, the name of the company was Houston's. And the date it opened was my birthday in 1977. So I was like, man, I'm intrigued. Click the button. And they were going to pay me, and this is in 2000. They were going to pay me $35,000 a year. And they were going to send me to culinary school. And I was going to get to work with these high-level chefs in Napa Valley. And I was like, dude, this is perfect. I get to get paid, and I get to learn.
Yeah. And you'd get to go out there, too, and live out there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, culinary school sounds cool, but if I can make money and learn, that's even better. So I took this route. And I don't know if you've heard of Houston's or Hillstone.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of these restaurants.
Yep.
So, I got hired on as a front of the house manager with an opportunity to also learn the kitchen and go to culinary school at the CIA in
New York?
Greystone
in
Napa.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And my dad's like, are you sure? I'm like, well, Daddy, I was 20 years old and making $35,000 a year. I'm like, that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
I've made it.
Yeah. And so I start with this company. I move up through the ranks. I become one of 3 executive chefs of the company. I was living in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, and I was in charge of a certain region. I'd fly down here, fly down there. And, it was an unbelievable experience. And
did you really love it? Like you loved what you're doing immediately?
I'm going to tell you that it was like divorcing my wife, it felt that was the kind of feeling that I would feel in my gut.
Most people would say marry, but you go ahead with that, Felipe. Like, that's good. This is a family show here. No, I'm kidding.
You know what I mean? Like it would,
Yeah.
it would put a lump in my throat just to think about it. I'm like, oh my God. And, at the time I'm 31.
Yeah.
So I'd been there for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was leaving to open my first restaurant in West Texas. And I was like, man, I'm making a lot of money. I'm the boss. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And then I thought about backing out that last day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to have to back out. But then I was like, well, I owe all this money for this new building. All these people are moving there because of me. Because I was scared. I was scared.
Yeah.
I was scared. And I said, you know what? I said, I got to finish this mission because these people are believing in me.
Yeah.
So I packed up my stuff. I moved back with my mom and dad. I sold every single thing I had. I put every single penny I had in this restaurant. Literally, I had only a car and a suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened that restaurant, and the building opens, and I talked to the contractor. He gives me a budget that we went over budget by $250,000, and I'm like, oh great, what do I do?
Yeah.
What was the name of it?
The grill, still there.
Okay.
It's 14 years old, and that's how long I've been gone.
Still yours?
Still mine.
Beautiful.
And it's tiny.
But do you want that? I was talking to somebody about a restaurant, and kind of like that New York thing is you want it always to look packed, right? Like there's something to that. Like
so important.
Only so many tables, so it always looks packed. Like if you go to a restaurant that's too big, like big old barbecue place, I mean, there's too many empty seats there, right? It doesn't have the same allure.
It doesn't have the same energy.
Mm-hmm.
And the harder you make it to people to get in, the better place and vibe it is. And that's how small it was. It was tiny. And, I just said, okay, I'm just going to take it one day at a time. And, I started, one of my best friends, John Nestor, he came down. He was living in Paris. He quit. He used to work with me at Hillstone. He left Paris Culinary School, came down with me. He's like, listen, I just need a place to hang out, party for a little bit, but I'll help you. You just pay me some cash every week. And
I don't wake up before 4 p.m. I'll see you at the restaurant at 6.
He had a deal. Yeah. I told you I had a car. I kept my car. So I had a Corvette. And he was like, and I get to use your Corvette. I was like, all right, done. So he comes down there, meets his wife, falls in love with San Angelo, helps me build the business. As we're building the business, he's like, dude, you're making a lot of money. This is a good deal. So he said,
was it because you were spending so much time at the restaurant? Like you enjoyed what you were doing, so you weren't going anywhere else. You didn't have to, right?
Literally, he and my dad would hang out, party every night, and my dad became his best friend. And I was at home in bed at 8 because I had to be there at 5.
Yeah,
and
but you love what you were doing, right?
I loved it, and I will say this: I loved it, but I cooked every single person's food for the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person's food. And to ensure that it was perfect.
For a chef, you look extraordinarily healthy too. You do not look like most chefs, like totally exhausted, stressed, that kind of thing. You look as if you do take care of yourself in that regard.
Very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
I totally do that. I try to work out every single day. I try to eat right. I try to, you name it. I do it.
So from the grill, what happened next?
So the grill, I brought in John as a partner, and we did Cork and Pig, and we opened it on the other side of town, and it was a success. And then I was like, all right, so I guess this is what we're doing. So long story short, I finally decided to move to. I was like, listen, San Angelo's great. I got to get back to an A market. I can't be. I left literally Beverly Hills to go to San Angelo.
Yeah,
that's not gonna work for me.
Yeah.
So
how long in San Angelo then?
I was there 2 years.
Okay.
So I used to live in Dallas. I used to, I knew the area, and I had some family here. And I was like, I'm going to try Fort Worth. So I came to Fort Worth. I met a girl. She was from Arlington. She's now my wife. And I said, hey, I'm just going to open a restaurant here. So I literally moved here, got an apartment, had my businesses in San Angelo, but I looked for 2 weeks, and I saw the tavern. And I had seen that location 3 years prior, because I came down to buy equipment. I was like, man, this is a good restaurant location.
What was there then?
Snookies.
Yes, but was like, but it was it Ronnie's there before? Was this pre the grocery store?
No, it's
No.
next to the grocery store.
No, I know, but
No, it was a furniture store.
That's right.
yeah, like the thing had changed. That when you went there, it was not. It was like Marvin's was across the street.
Marvin's?
Right? Yeah,
It was just me. It was Marvin's, us.
not Trader Joe's. It was Ronnie's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like before it became Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
And, I look at this location. I'm like, man, this is a good restaurant location. So I went back by there, got this guy's number. It said, we're leasing. And it wasn't supposed to be that space, but he goes, hey, their lease is about to come up. I was like, well, I've been looking at that for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it. I got it, and, Fort Worth was a really tricky situation because I was new. Nobody knew who I was. I was there, my dad. It was me, my dad, and my girlfriend, my wife now. And we would just sit there and literally I would cook every single plate and hand deliver it to every single guest.
What was it about those nachos that you did there?
Amazing.
There was something about them that forced me to drink like 12 beers in a sitting. I don't know what it was, but it was like the perfect
You're dating
combination.
yourself because I know you don't drink and you haven't for a while. But
No, but the nachos, they were heaped on. They were just like the perfect bar food, right?
They
and
really
it was
were.
never too much to where it was like, oh, I'm so full. It was.
No, they were phenomenal.
Yeah.
You can still order them there. They're not on the menu, but they're a quiche item. And my son and my wife still love them. They order them all the time.
what was the next after the tavern?
So after the tavern, I came back. I opened Cork Pig in Odessa, and that was another really kind of crazy story because the owner of that property is a TCU alumni, Colin Sewell,
Okay.
and he came down here. He was going to a TCU football game, walked in, and was like, "Listen, I want you to open in Odessa." And I was like, "Well, it's kind of far. I really don't want to go out there." He's like, "Listen, I'll do whatever it takes." He shook my hand. I was like, "All right, let's go. We're doing Odessa."
What kind of like concept is Cork and Pig?
It's kind of like the Tavern, American Grill,
Yeah.
but with a wood burning pizzeria.
Yeah.
So it's got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
It's just very unique.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that, and then right after that, I did Pacific Table, Fort Worth, and I looked at that place when it had been empty forever. It used to be an old Italian restaurant there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just fell in love with it. I was like,
Yeah.
people think I'm crazy that I'm going back to this corner, but I think it's a great location.
You like corners, don't you?
I do.
Why?
You
You like corner bars too.
I do. And I don't know why, but it drew my attention. And I would ask people, "Hey, I'm going to open there." They'd be like, "You're crazy. You're hidden. You're in the back." And that place kind of took off.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like fire for forever. And I did that. And then after that, I did Press Cafe.
Did they come to you or you went to them?
Yeah, crazy story as well. I'm sitting there at the tavern, and a gentleman, Crawford Edwards, comes in, and he's like, "Hey, you got time? Take a ride with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" So he takes me to this ranch. I mean, there was no toll road. There was none of this was here.
Yeah.
And we're going, he puts it on 4x4, and we're just cruising. And he's like, "Look, I'd like for you to open a restaurant here." I was like, "All right." I go, "How far away?" He's like, "Oh, it's about 2 years away. It's my family's ranch. It's going to be this, it's going to be that." And I was like, "All right, great." So time goes by, and the toll road is just getting going. And I hadn't heard from him back. So I was like, I called him one day. I'm like, "Hey, Crawford, how's everything going?" He's like, "Oh, man, I'm great, man. You know what? I totally forgot to give you a call back." And
I just jammed a development through city council, so we're ready for you now.
it kind of happened that way. So he's got this building with nobody in it, and it's where Press is now. And he's like, "I was going to have you go in the shops closer to Neiman Marcus, but I think you would fit better here." And I looked at there, and I was like, "Well, all right, well, there's nobody here, but I can see why it's going to be good." And I was like, "All right, let's do it."
Yeah.
And we kind of just shook hands that day, and that was another deal.
Where'd you get the name? Like, what does that mean?
His big thing was he wanted we were going to be next to a bike shop. He told me that, next to Mellow Johnny's, which was Lance Armstrong. And I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. And he's like, these bikers wake up early. So kind of thinking like a breakfast, lunch, and dinner kind of place. And I was like, all right. And then we were thinking, it was there was a movie that came out, and it was called Chef. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's really, really good movie.
Is that your favorite movie by chance?
Not favorite, but it's good.
What's it about?
It's about this guy who's got this Michelin star in LA, and he gets a fight with the owner, and the owner wants a menu, and he wants to do his own thing. They go at it. He quits and gets his own food truck, and they do a bunch of pressed sandwiches like paninis and Cubans.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was thinking, well, if we have to wake up early, it'd be cool to do pressed coffee.
Yeah.
And then pressed sandwiches, and because press has a lot of sandwiches.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my thought behind it. And then I was like, all right, so I came up with this concept. I came up with this menu.
You buy a bunch of George Foremans for the pressing of them.
I thought about it, but and you know what? They actually, not George Foreman, we actually bought panini press, and they couldn't keep up, so we got rid of it.
Yeah.
Because press opened up like a I don't know, like
I think hurricane is right.
A hurricane.
Yeah. Do they just use then like the metal thing for the pressing now?
Yeah.
Is that what you do? Is you just get that thing real hot and just
we
like
do
an iron thing?
and we still have the panini presses there, but it would just take so long.
Yeah.
So we needed to improvise, and we did. And that in my mind, I thought that place would it'll be busy, but it's small. How busy can it be? No, that winter we opened up January 5th, and that winter was a warm winter. And I would sit there and pray every day that snow would hit or rain would hit, because we couldn't keep up.
So yeah,
you would pray for a break in business.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's amazing.
I was like, please let these people stop coming here.
Well, think about it. It was one of the first restaurants in Fort Worth, besides maybe if you went to the Botanic Garden, that real old little restaurant in there, where you're kind of eating amongst nature, man. I mean, like at that time, you're either eating in a strip center of some kind. You're amongst nature in that thing,
Totally. And I was just like, so we built the restaurant to kind of fit the sales of what I thought we were going to do. Mm-hmm. Well, we blew that out of the water, so I had to redesign the whole restaurant as we're open, because I'm like, we just can't keep up.
Yeah.
So that was kind of crazy. And
menu's all yours, right? That's all your brainchild.
That's
well
right.
Done. The salmon dinner is my favorite thing. This is the crazy thing about this guy is all these restaurants that he's opened and runs. There's one of your restaurants is everybody's favorite. They have one of yours as their favorite, and Press is one of mine, and Pacific Table, and it's amazing. Every time you do one of these things, it becomes wildly popular. You have a true gift for the restaurateur business.
But it's like simple enough to get your mind around to order it, but then when you eat it, it's complex enough to be like, that's the best one I've ever had in that category,
I would
right?
say it's fair.
I mean, like the nachos at the tavern, like the salad with the tuna at the Press Cafe, or the chicken. It's just like it's and then it becomes the go-to. It's like, I don't care what else is on the menu. I'm not trying anything else. This is what I like. It's always delivered. I'm gonna just get it again. Why would I not?
Yeah, I mean, that's we are creatures of habit, and I think when you get your favorite thing, you know what you want.
I think understanding that is beautiful, because too many times you go into these places and it's like, we do all this and this and this. It's like, I don't want that. I mean, like, I'm not into I'm not into like, hey, here I have the bravery of trying. I want that. I think it's really good.
Did the Press Cafe then the next one was Maria's?
No, Press Cafe. The next one was
Town Grill.
Nope. It was Cork Pig West 7th.
Okay, very good.
And we were there for 5 years. When I first moved to Fort Worth, West 7th was like the new shiny thing, and it was great back in the day. And it kind of just really started turning into a bar.
Yeah.
And our clientele went from the kind of clientele that we try to cater with families.
Is that on the Circle?
Yep.
Okay.
Families and just people, date nights, and just that kind of clientele, and it turned into a bar. And, we'd roll up one day and somebody had thrown up all over our patio, or, somebody had written all over our door.
Yeah.
And it just started turning into this. And we were finally like, you know what? We have an opportunity to leave. And, we loved having that Cork and Pig concept here, but it just the location wasn't for us anymore.
Yeah.
And so we had COVID hit, and, there was an opportunity to basically get out of our lease because it was time was up, and we just kind of walked.
So is that, from your restaurateur standpoint, is that when you change kind of brands? It's like, let something that was there be there, and even if you're doing a lot of the same dishes, put a new name, new spin on it. Like, don't try to replicate. Different geographic locations is one thing, like faraway cities, but don't try to take something that was here and redo it here, kind of thing. Is that kind of like a trick?
It is, and locations change. Areas change. It just depends where it's going. But I thought for the brand and for what we did, it just wasn't who we were. And that whole area has changed drastically. I think my buddy of mine told me last week that somebody just got shot down there last weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
So that tells you right there that that's not what we're about.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good to hear, by the way.
Yeah. So we opened that, and then after that we opened. What did we open?
It's got so many. It's getting hard. It's getting
Maria's.
No. I opened a Red Oak Kitchen in Odessa.
Okay.
And that's a it's kind of American kind of cuisine, but it's right next to Cork and Pig. Our Cork and Pig out there is one of the busiest restaurants that I own. Every single person that eats there orders their own appetizer, their own entree, and their own dessert.
Wow.
Every single person.
Because they want to, or because
they want to and they like to eat.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's a meat and potatoes kind of town.
Okay.
But they like to eat.
Do you ever go like, man, I'm not going out? Like, why would you go out to to Midland? And obviously the demand is there, but is it ever like, I don't have a family member out there. Who am I going to trust to run this thing? Did those things cross your mind? Like, how am I going to find the good people? And then I'm going to be back in Fort Worth 5 hours away or whatever. And how am I going to manage all this?
I think about that. So as I'm looking at these satellite locations, I'm thinking of who can move there that I can trust.
Yeah.
Who can keep an eye on it. Because this business is very volatile, and it's one of those businesses where,
you saying there's skimmers in this business?
yeah, big time, big time. So that's something to keep an eye on. But you have to have good people, good systems in place, and if you have those things, it's possible.
Yeah.
And I totally, all those thoughts were running through my mind. But we opened that restaurant, and it's been, out there, it's just been crazy. It never slows down. Even when the barrel's at $20 a barrel, it's still fire out there.
Yeah.
When did the idea to do what every son should do, honor their mother with a hit restaurant? When did that come into your life?
Okay, so COVID's going on, and I was actually in Colorado the day the shutdown happened. I think it was March 16th. And
on vacation or looking for a location?
On vacation. I just bought a condo there 3 days prior, and then COVID happened. No, I take that back. I bought a condo. It was supposed to close on that Monday. The banks closed. I can't even close on my house. They're telling me that all my money in escrow, it's gone if I don't pay. So then I'm looking at my wife. I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
The whole world's shutting down.
Yeah.
And I'm either going to lose all my money, or I'm going to have to write a big check. What do I do? So I just bite the bullet, and I had to buy the place cash. And the whole world shut down. I told my managers, and I'm like, look, here's what we're going to do. I'm coming back tomorrow. I couldn't find a flight back.
Drive.
The state was shut down, so you couldn't even cross the lines after like midnight. So I rent a car. I pack up everybody in it. I have a bunch of kids, by the way. We pack them all in there, and we start driving back home. And I get out of Colorado. I'm getting closer to Texas, and I told my managers, I'm like, look, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna shut down completely. I don't want you to go. shut down completely. Make sure that everybody stays safe and healthy. I knew that the government was going to help with at least keeping people's roofs over their heads. So I said, okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to shut down completely until it's okay to open back up. We're going to go ahead and basically, I just wanted to make sure that our staff and our managers were fed. So I said, hey, we're going to give you guys food every week until we open back up.
Yeah.
So we would do these meal kit preps with, rice and eggs and milk and, chicken and beef. And, I would order these shipments once a week.
Mm-hmm.
And they would get there. The guys would get there, take their food home. And once a week we'd do it again. And we would continue to do this. We did it for 8 weeks. And, we were going to open back up. And when we opened back up, I guess doing this for the staff, we got every single one of our employees back.
Yeah.
So we opened back up. We're back in full business. We're at 25% occupancy. And at 25% occupancy, we were even from last year.
You know what I bet they heard
That's
at home
incredible.
a lot when they picked up those ready-to-make kits? This doesn't taste like it does when Felipe cooks it. What are you doing here?
I believe that. But it was a good thing to do because we kept our staff, we kept everybody, and
Yeah.
So it's 2020, and I believe it's May. Yeah, it's May, and it's Mother's Day. And that morning, my buddy's like, "Hey, let's go for a ride on the bikes." So I'm cruising down, biking, and he's like, "Hey, I also wanted to show you that Hofbra's not signing their lease. Do you want it?" I was like, "Let's go ride down there." So we rode down there and we look at it. I'm like,
Were you on a bicycle, like pedal assist, or what kind of bike?
not pedal, just like
Okay,
real pedaling, like hard work.
Yeah.
And I pull up there and I look at it. And I'm like, man, this place is run down. But I love the location.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Mother's Day, the day that I saw it. And I said, hey, I'm going to open a restaurant here. I'm going to do a Mexican restaurant. I'm going to name it Maria's.
It just hit you all right there.
Right there.
That's beautiful.
No pre-planning to that at all.
It was meant to be.
Yep.
So a year, construction wasn't supposed to be a year, but it took, in my mind, it was going to take 6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
It ended up taking up a year, and we opened in 2021 on Mother's Day again. And it worked out to be like
great.
Perfect.
perfect. So, it was one of those things where I know my mom was looking down from heaven, and I named it after her because she had died. And, she meant everything to me with food, and I that was my way to pay.
That's awesome,
Well done.
man.
Well done.
Yeah.
Philippe, what's a typical day in your life look like?
Okay, so I get up. Just depends when I get up. I don't really have an alarm. In my mind, I have an alarm. So I get up, usually about 7:30. And I get up, brush my teeth, go to my office. I work out. I either jump on a bike or I do indoor bike cycling.
Mm-hmm.
If it's hot now, I'm definitely doing it inside.
Yeah.
And then I go around our neighborhood and kind of just do 2.5 miles like that.
Yeah.
And then I come back. I read the Bible for about 10 to 15 minutes. I meditate, I shower, and I go to work. So when I go to work, I usually try to get to one of the restaurants by 10:30 to try to, we do something at our restaurants called Taste Plate. So we literally taste the entire menu before we open. Every single dressing, every single sauce, every single item. And if something doesn't make it, then we have 30 minutes to fix it, or we just don't serve that item that day till we fix
Every
it.
day?
Every single day.
Huh. Well, that explains some things then on the quality of the food for sure.
It is very, very important to have that consistency.
I once heard that what's where most restaurateurs fail is that what happens, they open a place, that initial wave comes in. It's from a food distributor guy, my brother-in-law. And they all come in there. They love it. Then the owner's like, see, this is going to work out. Starts paying himself pretty well and all. Then it settles into what the normal crowd's going to be. The newness is over. Somebody goes in. They're like, I'm not going to cut my wages. Everyone's doing good. I'm going to stay at this. So the first thing they do is cut the food, like the product quality. Then the person goes back for the second time, and they're like, I went the first time on the opening. It was beautiful, great. Then I went back the second time. It sucked. I'm never going back again. And it's like the story of why these restaurants don't make it. Is that true? Is there truth to that? Yeah.
You got to stay on quality. And I'm a firm believer, consistency, quality. if you can nail those things, you're going to be successful.
Philippe, do you have any questions for the Brenton Payne show? We got.
I'm just prefacing
I know
a
what
very
you're doing.
large question
Yes.
here.
Thank you for your question. What are the biggest difficulties you run into doing all this?
Now, I believe it's staffing. It used to never be.
Right.
Yeah.
It used to never, especially in this town.
Yeah.
Man, we had some of the best staff in the world forever.
You only in the state of Texas?
Only in the state of Texas.
Would you go in other states?
Yes, I'm looking at it.
Would you go in other states where things like marijuana are legal in the service industry? Because I've heard that's caused a lot of problems on that staffing stuff too.
It has.
Just from a quality standpoint.
Please continue. I mean, you're obviously going down a thread here.
No, I just heard that it's hard to get good workers in states where that's not an issue, and it's even harder to get good workers where there's all kinds of distractions.
I think it's just hard. Period.
Yeah.
Right now, I see it everywhere. I see it at not only this state but other states when I'm on vacation, and I don't know what the answer is, and I think, I think we need to do a better job of teaching the younger generation of what hard work does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on Brenton, but I'll give you an update.
And respect. Maybe we can go into the respect thing too.
That's often fallen off on this show too. What does the future look for you? What's coming next?
A couple things. So I'm signing a lease hopefully today or maybe Monday for I'm doing a French restaurant called Cafe Margot. It's going to be on Bel Air and Hewlin.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I am looking really hard at the stockyards. Twisting my arm to go out there.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Plano. I'm looking at doing a Pacific Table in South Lake. I'm opening a Pacific Table in Midland. And I'm also looking at Houston right now.
Is it easier to just do the same concept somewhere else, or is it easier to just do a new concept?
No, it's definitely easier to do the same concept. The only reason I'm doing different concepts is so that I can kind of
fill it up
and pick and choose kind of where I want to go and what I want to do.
And then have more variety to
That's right.
put them out there in different places.
That's right.
Not to add more pressure, but I see a sign on the west side of Fort Worth.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
So it's going to be Italian, and I'm going to do like an Italian restaurant with a bakery and a deli shop, and really big patio on the corner there on Team Ranch Road, kind of overlooking Fort Worth, and hopefully that should be open. And construction plans are almost done, and then hopefully construction will start in 2 months.
You ever go like, I got too much going on?
It doesn't seem like it.
I think I'd get bored.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, you always kind of add.
But I will say this: I like to create things.
Yeah.
And I love design, and I love buildings, and I love building.
You like that beginner's curve kind of thing where you're learning the most by doing those things, like kind of.
It's just fun.
Mm-hmm.
And, my wife tells me all the time, she's like, because I said I was going to retire at 50.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in 6 years. And she's like, there's no way you're going to retire. I was like, well, I probably won't.
Yeah.
But maybe my plate will be less full, But, I will say this, I feel like this conversation has all been about me, which is great. But, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, first and foremost, if I wasn't blessed. And two, if I didn't have the right team around me.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, how big is that back office look, with all the books and everything? Is it just like the one-man show at home, or no, there's like a big office?
We have a corporate team now. So, we have a director of operations, we have a culinary manager, we have a human resources and accounting manager. It's starting to finally fill up, and, it feels like a really big company now. I think I have over 1,000 employees.
Wow.
1,000 employees. Wow. Yeah, I was about to ask you that.
But that's got to feel good too, because it probably feels like things are getting taken care of. They're not anticipating always an emergency kind of deal, right?
Right. And I think the more you have people that want to achieve the same goal around you, the easier to get to that goal is going to be.
Yeah.
Other than your restaurants, what is your favorite restaurant in Fort Worth?
Man, that's hard. Ooh.
This would be some high praise, hopefully.
I know this is hard, man.
Do you ever go out to other restaurants?
Yeah, totally, all the time. My
The McDonald's on 183 or Camp Bowie, which of those might you say has the best?
Waffle House right there in one. I'm just kidding.
Less flies.
No, we do everything. I have kids, so now these days I have to like kind of pick my spots around the kids. So we go to Heim barbecue after the baseball games, west west side.
Yeah.
And then we where else do we go?
How many kids?
We have 4 kids.
4 kids.
Oh yeah.
How old?
9, 6, 2, and 6 months.
Great job.
Wow. Busy.
Yeah. So, you name it, we go everywhere. I don't know if I would say favorite, but my favorite stuff, man, that's hard.
Simple. You like the simple though.
I like simple.
Yeah.
I like simple. I will say this. I went to a restaurant in Dallas last week. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called Carbone. It's from New York. And
Brand new.
They have a Michelin star.
Yep.
And the food was fabulous. Like I was so impressed, and I had a time of my life.
Oh, that's good.
Does that inspire you possibly?
Oh yeah.
Are you making some notes on the napkin?
I'm like, oh, it's on now.
All right. Before we get out of here, we have a few more, but most importantly, I wanted to get you to talk about your car collection. Once upon a time, you started getting into cars.
I did.
And you have knocked it out of the park. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, of course. So I've always loved cars. I've always been intrigued and fascinated by them. And, I remember living in our little house in San Angelo and just watching this movie with me and my brothers and sisters. My mom and dad would work, so I was basically taking care of everybody. And that's really where I learned how to cook.
Yeah.
I would grab like old cookbooks my mom would have, and I would sit there and make them a recipe out of there. And then we'd sit down and watch, movies. And I remember seeing this like red Lamborghini, and I remember telling my brother, I'm gonna have one of those one day. And he was like, yeah, right. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. I'm gonna have one. So it kind of started off like that real young, and then when
was it Cannonball Run?
No.
Okay.
But I first started off with Corvettes, and I was like, oh man, I like Corvettes. That's cool. And then it just kind of just evolved into Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Porsches and
Ford GTs.
Ford GTs. Yep. I just got a new one, a 2022 Ford GT, and it was limited. You had they interviewed me, so if I can have the car or not.
Oh wow.
Nice.
So they had to know if you were a law-abiding citizen. They wanted to know what was your other car collection. They wanted to know if you were an influential person. They wanted to know all the cars you've ever had. They wanted to know every address you've ever lived in. Like literally, they wanted to know.
Make sure you're not a drug dealer or something
Right.
where there could be some bad stuff happen around.
But
that
you
car.
were 1977, you said, right? Like, so that poster of that Lambo. So what was that like buying that first Lambo, man? Because like everyone had that poster on the wall,
Man, it was
the Countach, right?
It was that was it. My first Lamborghini, I was like, wow, I did it. Actually, I bought that when I opened Pacific Table, Fort Worth. I was like, man, I did it. I got a Lamborghini.
Where'd you go? Over to Dallas to get it or something? Or
No, I bought it online.
Mm-hmm.
Like on
They
the
deliver
internet.
it?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. That's how it works.
Do you drive them all on a regular basis? Where do you drive them?
I'm very picky now where I drive them because these roads are bad. And,
No.
Do people tailgate you in Lambos? I don't know.
You know what's the most terrifying thing about driving these cars is that people stop driving and they start doing this. And I'm like,
or they do this, like the lean in.
I disappear. So
Yeah.
I like, my favorite roads are the toll road.
Yeah.
Towards Cleburne.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're all, the concrete's smooth and there's no bumps or anything.
Yeah.
And then I like
Max speed, you got it up to on there.
185.
No kidding.
Oh, I got a perfect stretch.
Night or day?
Both.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's where I do my testing. Sorry, police.
Yeah, I was looking for my siren button here. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite of all these cars?
Oh man. Yes, I just got the new Lamborghini. I got there's only 12 in the world. It's 11 of 12. There's only 2 in the US. And it's called Lamborghini Gallardo Blanc Pan, and it's all black. It's like complete stealth. And
Inside too?
oh yeah, whole thing's black.
Murdered out.
Yeah, literally.
I believe my son saw you driving somewhere, and he's a car guy. And
He is.
He believes you're some sort of race car driver at heart somehow.
I am.
Yes,
Yeah, I race
believe it
cars
might be
too.
True. Yes.
So I got this car and it's 700 miles when I bought it. I just bought it like a month ago, and it'd been sitting in a garage forever. The guy who had it was young, just kind of randomly died. And my friend's like, "Hey man, I got this car. Do you want it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want it." And it's just special because there's only 2 in the United States.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
That's my favorite right now.
Easy to see. I'm assuming Ford versus Ferrari you've probably seen it a few times.
A million times.
Do you appreciate what's happening there?
I do. And the cool thing about the Ford GT that I got, Ken Miles, the guy who won Le Mans, I had the Ken Miles edition.
Okay.
So the car that he won Daytona, because remember, Henry Ford didn't want him to drive in Le Mans. So the only reason he got to drive in Le Mans, he had to win Daytona.
Oh yeah.
So I got the Daytona winner car.
Beautiful.
What's your favorite car movie?
Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. All right.
What amazing job. I always thought you do keep a really low profile, but in a cool way. You don't blab out all the stuff that you're doing, and it's awesome. But kudos to your success.
Appreciate it.
So you're a really nice guy. I've known you for a little bit, but appreciate you very much. Keep on rocking. Fort Worth is proud to have you as one of its restaurant people because you do a hell of a job. And again, a lot of great stuff you're putting out there. Keep it up.
Appreciate it.
We're very happy to have you. We always ask our guests, aside from your kids and your wife and your family, what's the greatest day of your whole life?
Wow, that's...
You could go back and say it if it was like the car thing, whatever.
Will you let him answer?
I'm just
He knows how to answer a question.
I'm opening it up in case he feels like
needs
he's
to help you
already
out.
said it, you know.
Man,
He can
that's
probably
hard.
handle it.
That's really, really hard. But probably the first time I saw my son born, my firstborn.
So you're going to family, and we definitely can't allow that.
Okay. So
See, that's why I opened it back up.
all right.
You did
hold
not
on.
help him, obviously.
All right. So man, that's really tough.
While you're thinking, I'm going to tell you how great Captex Bank is because they are the guys that make sure this is happening for us. Thank you, Mike Thomas, Captex.
Thank you, Captex, for all of my Ferrari loans.
It's right. If you need to buy a Ferrari, you call Mike Thomas.
Yes.
He will find the way to get you in that Ferrari.
I'm going to call him today.
You probably should, yes.
And he'll give you that Ford GT, one of 12 in the world. The favorite day
All right, we've
of
distracted you.
Felipe Armenta was or is?
The day I got to meet Michael Jordan.
Oh, okay. Turn that music down. Let's hear that story.
All right. So we're
Gambling, no less.
no. So this is a crazy story. So remember, I kept saying I was praying for a cold day when press was opening.
Yeah.
Well, my buddy calls me. It's like, "Hey, dude, I got tickets to go see Seattle and Carolina divisional playoff." I'm like, "Let's go." So where my cars get built, my fast cars, because I have like super fast cars, like 2,000 horsepower,
Yeah. Where do you get, like, what kind?
Lamborghinis.
Oh, yeah.
So they're custom built. So literally, they rip out everything and they put all new forged internals.
Where are they? Or where?
In North Carolina.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, let's go. I was going to go look at one of my cars there. Let's go to the game. Let's do it. It was snowing that weekend or cold flurries. I'm like, yes, press is going to be slow. Let's get out of here. So we go up there. My buddies who are in the car dealer or the car shop there, they pick us up. We hang out. They take us to dinner. And that first night we were at dinner and we're looking over and he's like, "Hey, Felipe, you see who's right in front of you over there?" I was like, "Who?" "It's Michael Jordan." I was like, whoa. I was so impressed. I was like, man, because as a kid, he was my idol.
Yep.
Yeah.
Till this day, he's my idol.
Yeah.
In a sense of hardworking, good leader, just ferocious.
Yeah.
He wants to win. So
Yeah.
those are all the qualities that I believe
Yeah.
a good leader should have. And he's there, and my buddy that's with me, my best friend, John, he was gone. I mean, he had been drinking all day. So he's like, "Felipe, I'm gonna go give him my business card with Cork and Pig on it. Tell him if he ever needs anything." And Carolina. Let me
go ahead and put my cell on there for
That's
you,
right.
Michael, as well.
So he goes up there, and I'm like, no, don't do it, because I was worried that he was gonna fumble or something. And Michael Jordan turned out to be great. Took his card, said hi to us, and got to meet him, and it was just kind of one of those.
Was it like this?
Yeah, he's 6'6". He's tall.
Yeah,
but I just couldn't believe it was him.
Yeah,
as a kid, I grew up, and he was my favorite ever.
There you go, man. That is some
Felipe
good
Armenta,
stuff.
thank you for joining us. Great job. Great dude. Keep it up. We appreciate it. FORTitudeFortWorth.com. We love you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
FORTitude, Fort Worth.